Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to our council meeting of February 28th, 2023. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order at 1 p.m. I'll now read the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the township of Asphodel-Norwood is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nation, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Altarville, Scugog Island, Rama, Boseley, Georgina Islands, and First Nations. The township of Asphodel-Norwood respectively acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and water in perpetuity, and that continue to maintain the responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. And I'll now invite everyone to pause for a moment of silent reflection to prepare for the council meeting ahead as a gesture of respect and contemplation. I will now ask council members to declare any pecuniary interest now or as a matter before council state the interest now or at the time of the matter.
I'll be stating R3 and I've handed in my paperwork already, so I'll leave it that time.
Okay, thank you. Approval of the agenda. Recommendation that the Township of Asphodel-Norwood Council meeting agenda for February 28th, 2023 be approved as circulated and or amended. Motion by Councillor Ward. Second by Councillor Walsh. Any questions, concerns? All in favor of that motion? That motion is carried. Council minutes of February 14th, 2023. Approve of the minutes. I'm looking for a motion to approve the council minutes. February 14th is circulated and or amended. Deputy Mayor Burt.
As presented.
As presented, second by Councillor Reeves Hodge. I want to make sure we get that right. Any discussion? All in favor of that motion? That motion is carried. No business arising from the minutes. Consent agenda. Pardon me?
Awesome, if there is.
Is there any business arising from the previous minutes? Anyone? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion to approve the correspondence items C1 through C5, as well as the cemetery board and library board meetings minutes as circulated and amended. Can I have a mover? Councillor Walsh. Pardon me? As circulated. Councillor Walsh, seconded. Deputy Mayor Burt, is there any discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor of that motion? That motion is carried. Delegations. We have two delegations here today. The first one is Ryan Huntley, who is not here. He's got a problem getting here right at the moment, but we have Janet Lovely Smith from Otonabee Region Conservation Authority to present an introduction and overview of ORCA.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council, for having both of us here today. I'm sure he's running a bit late in terms of some work, but might show up later in your meeting. So I'm very pleased to be here. My name is Jeanette Levy-Smith, and I'm the CAO, Treasurer, Secretary at Otonabee Region Conservation Authority. And we're happy to have the mayor sit on the board, but also recognizing Councillor Moore as having sit on our board in the past. I joined the Conservation Authority in 2022. I have a long career in municipal sector, actually. But I'm very pleased to be here and enjoying it. The former CEO had retired after approximately 9 years. So I understand you have the slide deck in front of you. And really the objective that we wanted to be able to say is welcome you here. Congratulations on your elections. Also introduce myself. Mr. Huntley has been the chair for the past year and was recently re-elected as the chair at our AGM at the end of July, or at the end of January. And so it's sort of a meet and greet, and we've been making our way to all of our member municipalities over time. And it's our last one on the show. So that's a little bit about who we are. The next slide has the board of directors. And so they correspond with the term of council. And what we really also try to highlight on this slide deck is who the board members are. It is one of the transparency and accountability directives that the province has given all of the conservation authorities across Ontario, but also recognizing that the split or the makeup of the board is prescribed under the Act in terms of the population of the municipality. So you see where the city of Peterborough has 3 reps and Selwyn has 2 reps, and that's around, again, the populations that they have. Our next slide is really around our watershed, and we really speak from a watershed perspective throughout our programs and services. And we are actually the 17th largest watershed in Ontario from a conservation perspective. And there are 36 conservation areas in Ontario. And what we also highlight is, of course, that population number continues to grow as their communities develop, but also the lands that we manage. And so we are, talk a little bit later, we go through our orientation, but Mr. Mayor would have heard a lot more detail lately around all of our different lands that we manage. And so that 10,000 hectare or 10,000 acres, I should say, is our conservation areas, our nature reserves that we manage directly. Our next slide is our vision and mission. And so this comes from our strategic plan. It was something that the former board had wanted to have a review of. Unfortunately, they were caught up in the pandemic and everything, so it was put on pause on that. It's something that the new board will be looking at. But our vision, mission, and our key goals still are a foundational piece for us, and they still are relevant for us as an organization. So even though we're going to take a review of it, it is something that we still use in terms of our work that we have. We tried to take the opportunity through all of our presentations to highlight some of our successes from 2022. And so a little bit around some of the things that have kept us busy at Orca. And so we've had a busy year in terms of processing permits and planning applications. So you can see the statistics there. And then of that, how many of them were issued in your municipality. We also have a very active planting program. It's very popular. And so in 2022, we planted over 30,000 trees, shrubs, and wildflowers across our watershed. And then what we're actually getting into right now is our spring water awareness program. And so in 2022, there were a number of programs that were delivered here at the public school and also the horticultural society. So If you hear of any opportunities or would you like to consider some of those in 2023, just please let us know, because again, it's popular and we try to spread those opportunities across our watershed, but there's obviously only so much we can do in terms of things. We completed some floodplain mapping in 2022, and we also have some more that is being 2 initiatives that are being done in 2023. And then obviously we have our risk management agreement. And the last one we highlight is our climate change strategy. So it's something that the former board had put in place. It has an internal phase and an external phase, if you will, implementation steps. But we try really hard to link it to our policy decisions and also some of our key actions that we have with our community partners. So the current board will be seeing that coming in a couple of months. And we've been collecting the data since we launched this 2 years ago. So it'll be very interesting initiative to talk about what we have done, what our current state is, what our baseline is, and then what we've done to try and mitigate some of those issues that we have with climate change. And also highlighting the work with our bed dev projects. So in 2022, Orca received over $1 million in grant money. And that was made up of 4 projects. Some work on the Jackson Creek Trail and 3 washroom projects. And so the Jackson Creek Trail work is completed at the end of last year, and we're finishing up the other projects. We really wouldn't have been able, well, we would not have been able to do those projects if we didn't receive the grant money. And there was also some community fundraising that went alongside of that. But for the size of organization that we are, it really kind of, our capital program really exploded by taking on this amount of work, but it's been very successful. And for me, I've really enjoyed getting to know the communities a little bit more through that project. The next slide is around budget and accountability. So this is something that, again, the provincial government has directed all of our conservation authorities across Ontario around. So we tried through our 2023 budget to implement some of the formatting changes. And we have some more work to do. It needs to be implemented by 2023 budget. We tried to implement some of that. In 2024, we need to have everything fully implemented in terms of things. And the board had passed, the budget was tabled in October. It was passed in January with a 2.4% increase. And again, sort of understanding apples to apples or comparing apples to apples, that represents about a $30,000 increase for us. We also have our performance objectives, and that we report quarterly to the board alongside our financial reports and our regular current planning and performance report. Just a little bit on that one. One of the directives that the province is looking to implement is some standard timelines for all of the conservation authorities across Ontario, and that comes fully into implementation in 2024. However, Orca saw the opportunity to join the pilot of that last year and to track our timelines against what we would know we would have to report out on. And so it is, we are meeting and exceeding those timelines with all of those processing of permits in terms of things. Conservation Ontario takes all of that information and then has been producing a report on all of the conservation authorities that have agreed to pilot this for 2023. But again, in 2024, it's mandatory right across the board. And one of those, all of that reporting, whether it be our performance objectives, our financial accountability, reporting on our timelines, all of those things are ensuring that we're meeting our core mandates in terms of, and where we have our organizational effectiveness. The next slide is talking about apportionment. And it's a new term that the province has introduced. we probably will still have to call it a tax levy, but it really is it's called apportionment for a reason. So you'll hear a little bit more about that in the coming years. And that is linked to what we call our programs and inventory that needed to be completed in 2022. And there are categories established that the province said. So category 1, for example, would be all our mandatory programs and services. Category 2 would be services and programs that we would have with member municipalities. And category 3 are things that are determined, that the board determines, that are important to the watershed. So an example of category 3 would be the climate change strategy as an example, and the tree planting would be our environmental stewardship programs. Those would be category 3. They're completely discretionary in terms of what the board would like to provide. However, we need to ensure that we are always meeting our category 1 mandated services. That's where they come up with the term apportionment, in terms of linking the apportionment of our tax levy and our self-generated revenues to those categories. So just having a slide there outlining what the operating apportionment and the category apportionment is. And the next slide is just a snapshot of our total operating budget. So again, thinking about scale here, our total operating budget for work is $3.2 million, and that is made up of, again, tax levy, self-generated revenues, primarily our campgrounds have a large component there. And in 2022 and rolling into 23, we brought on the new campground at Lakefield, which was a position on the board. So it does generate a lot of revenue for Orca, and that helps us offset our tax liability at the end of the day. So again, a little bit of a CA 101, but the apportionment, when you get to those categories, you can only use tax levy for category 1 services. You can never use tax levy for category 2. Actually, I should say category 1 and category 3. But you can use revenue streams from category 2 to offset your tax levy. You cannot use a tax levy to offset a service that isn't mandatory. That's really the nutshell of it all, right? And again, that's all part of the whole directive around really being clear of the revenues, the expenses, and what are the services that the member municipalities in the watershed communities. In terms of our capital budget for 2023, we staff proposed a very modest budget in October last year, primarily because we were still and we still are completing those FedDev projects. And so we knew from our own capacity that we didn't have the ability to take on a lot of things. And so there are just again a modest budget here that keeps us whole in terms of some of the work that we needed to do. But that also kept the tax level at it was. And the following slide is the apportionment slide. So again, you can see which each of the member municipalities. Again, there are 8 member municipalities, and the CVA that actually comes from the Ministry of Environment in terms of things, and then sort of the breakdown between the different operating, capital levy, and then total levy. And we piloted what the category 1 and 3 are there. Didn't get it quite right, but we will in the next time around. And our last slide, we have been taking our orientation, realizing that everybody has a very busy schedule, and sort of sectioning them out and putting a bit of a theme to them. So we've already had a governance legislation theme, programs and services, and our next one is on March 16th, which is right before our board meeting, and it's And if you are interested, please just let us know. And also, we're gonna do some spring tours. That was one of the requests from some of the directors. So if you're interested in any of that, we're happy to do as well. And that's it, Your Worship. I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have. And my apologies again for.
Thank you for that presentation. Any questions of Janet, Lori?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thank you so much for the presentation. The apportionment made sense after you went through it, especially with all the changes that have come down through the province. That makes sense to me now. You mentioned at the start of your presentation about the floodplain mapping you'd completed, and we have those, but you're also doing some more in 2023. Where are those locations that you're doing in 2023?
Through you, Your Worship. So we're, Byersville Creek, is one, and we received, we applied for 2 grants. And so, that is the one that we received the grant for. And then some additional work on Jackson Creek.
Okay, and sorry, where's Byersville Creek? I'm not familiar with
It's
that.
in the Peterborough.
Oh, okay.
Area.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And if you try and find that on a map, it's very hard.
It
Paula?
Yes, thank you for you, Mayor. Well, I had the honor of sitting on the board for 4 years, but I do have a couple questions, and I was wondering about the 20 permits that were issued for Asphodel-Norwood, and you know, the timeline and staff that are kept. Were any of those outside the scope of the standardized timelines? Because you know, you always hear that, well, we're being held up by, you know, waiting for a response, and I was just wondering if they were all within the timelines, because I always found that fascinating, that that part of the meeting of, you know, how long it takes to, you know, process things.
Right. Through your, Mr. Mayor, so no, none of those applications or permits were outside of the timelines. And for the whole 2022 year, we only had 1.
That's good.
And just a follow-up,
Yes.
if I may, I just noticed that on my Facebook page that tomorrow is the opening of the online campground. So anybody that wants to book some of the campgrounds, they should get on fast because they go quickly.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Thank you for that plug. Yeah, with Let's Camp. And it is very popular. All of the, whether it's, we saw that in terms of the revenues for 2022 and the occupancies for Beavermead and Warsaw and then Lakeville.
And another thing, spring trees, they can get till March 16th, I
That's
think it is.
correct. That's right. The
Anybody needs any
seedlings
saplings?
That's right. Seedling saplings, we had that debate, didn't we? Yes, those are also on sale right now as well. And again, very popular program. A lot of uptake.
Gary?
Just for you, Mayor. So just to follow up on that. So if a resident wants to order saplings, how do they know about it and go about it?
Well, we do some media in terms of things, but if you go onto our website and it's titled Tree Sales, you will be able, it's very easy for somebody to go in and order the types of saplings that they would like to order.
Secondary question.
Yes.
Under the Spring Water Awareness Program, that's awesome. You're here delivering it to 200 students at the public school. Has it ever been offered to St. Paul's, other elementary school in town?
Your worship, I don't know that specific detail, but I
Okay.
certainly can, I
Just
can go
thinking
back
it's
and.
another opportunity in town with young kids to get them started
Yeah,
understanding. Spring water awareness.
they've just started yesterday, actually. They were just starting the first one and it's, again, very popular, very hands-on for the kids and things, but I will write that one down.
Awesome, thank you.
Laura?
Yeah, just to follow up on the tree seedlings, I got my order in, but for anybody listening, the website, you said it's very easy, but it also lists, I believe, the 45 different species. You can click on them. It gives you growing detail and you know, where best to plant them and habitat areas. So it's very helpful if you're not sure of the trees as well. It's very detailed. It's not just a name of a tree and that's it. So that can be quite helpful for some residents.
Any other questions? Paula?
So just one more follow-up, if I may. Is there any indication of what the spring runoff will be like the snowpack? Like, it's been a really strange winter, and you know, with those water warnings that will come shortly. I was just wondering what the snowpack was and the, you know, the effect it will have here. If you know.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So I don't have an analysis, a very recent analysis. There was a time when, not too long ago, 3 weeks ago, so staff do go out regularly and do snowpack analysis across the watershed, so that we collect that data. But when they had gone out, there was very little snow. We had almost that spring feel, right? And now we have more snow. So it'll be a very interesting effect that it has on our spring water, you know, and our flows. But no, we don't. I don't have that information in front of us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you again for the presentation. Can I have a motion to receive Orca's presentation for information? Councillor Walsh, Councillor Hodge-Greaves. Any more discussion? All in favor of that motion? That motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Jeanette.
And our next, we have Terrence Hemler and Mary Hay representing the Westwood Enhancement Committee.
Mayor Wilford and members of council, we appear before you this afternoon to talk about signs. Township boundary signs get the municipal name out there. If growth is a municipal objective, name recognition can be important. These signs also let travelers know they have arrived in a different place and the rules may be different. The new boundary signs achieve those objectives. However, village entry signs change the focus. An easily read village name means that you are entering a built-up area and this should translate to a lower speed limit. That's what we're used to. So the 50K limit shouldn't come as a surprise. I guess it does sometimes, but. And while there is no need to be like everybody else, it is sometimes good to look at what other municipalities have done. If you're traveling in Duro-Dummer, there can be no doubt when you've arrived in Contesville or South Dummer. Historical built-up areas much smaller than Westwood. Similarly, there can be no doubt when you enter Hastings. In both cases, the signs also tell you in less prominent print which municipality you are in. The newly installed Westwood signs visually focus on the welcome to Asphodel-Norwood, with the much smaller Westwood part looking like an afterthought. But signs are more than geographic locators. They have the power to identify and reinforce sense of and pride in community. Westwood is more than a collection of houses. It has a rich history as the oldest established community in the township. The Ouse River running through it gave rise to water power for lumber and grist mills and the smaller businesses that served the mill workers and the surrounding territory. It was the seat of township government until 1998. It boasts the town hall, which is now the library, the oldest cenotaph, a fire station, and the playing field. Yes, 25 years have passed since amalgamation, and Westwood no longer is what it was in the past. When I was a teenager, Westwood had 3 general stores, a garage, an egg grading station, a post office, a grist mill, a school, and 3 operating churches. Today, Westwood has a substantial operating lumber mill, along with 2 of the 3 churches are still operating, as well as it actually has quite a few newer homes. Change happens, but change should be respectful. If not, it can lead to perceptions such as, and these are quotes, intentional diminishment. They have taken our identity away. They have forgotten the importance of Westwood in Asphodel history. Those are only a few of the reflections about sign change and ones I'm prepared to repeat in public. Feelings about identity elimination are somewhat heightened in the Westwood community residents now as a result of the address changes mandated by Canada Post. As I have said, signs are important. Signs can make a difference in a community. And rather than just stating objections to our current Westwood entrance signs, we wish to talk about given the stated preference of the citizens who have signed the sheets you have in your agenda package, I'm certain that this option could be the focus of a quick fundraising project making a change and no cost proposition to the township. We request reconsideration of the prior decision by staff, committee, or council with respect to the Westwood entrance sign, and we look forward to your considered response. Harry would like to talk about the sign proposal.
Yeah, thanks. I've learned one thing, my hearing is not adequate to this situation, but I hope you can hear me, can you? All right, fine. Yeah, so as not to just whine and complain, we prepared something for you as what I visited the council here and showed you briefly those things they've been on at the township for a few months, perhaps for your further perusal. We've read those signs and we're presenting them to you as an alternative to the present township signs, which, as Mary has mentioned, are problematic to us. Something that is not in your agenda is the we've also prepared a Norwood Town sign, something a possible thing. We realize that the township loves consistency, if not sameness, and so in respect to that, and also in deference and kinship with the people of Norwood who may, if given the choice, prefer, as we do, to have that change. Norwood has a mill pond or a news river, as we do. Mary has referred to the origins of this town on the sides of rivers. It's been so for ancient history, that's sort of, or access and so on. And it's either that or wind, and until electricity came along, there was no choice, and that's what it is, and that's what we are, and that's what it remains. The view of the News River, if you've not really with anyone, is the most enduring and central image in the town. That's why it's there. It speaks to our identity, as Mary mentioned, our individuality, and I think really inherent in all this is our pride of place, which is so part of the human DNA. I mean, it's being enacted in Ukraine at the present, and it's the fundamental source of most conflicts through history. But on this little microcosm level, it's as well a serious concern for us. We plan, as Mary mentioned, to assume the cost of this, the development and manufacture, placement, so on. We're doing through the BMR, who produced your original town signs. We've already estimated it through them. They would be similar in sense, printed on aluminum. It's 1.25 inch centimeters, so not inch, centimeter. That'd be quite something. Your signs would be there. We will intend to erect them with same operates on the face of what is there. So there's no, yours is there as an extra cross member support, nothing else, keeping the back of the sign as you have printed it. I think, well, you have, I think before you, this petition polling, whatever you want to call it, there's an additional page of signatures there. There are 67 signatures to 50 approximate houses in Peterborough, or sorry, in Westwood, and I guess you would call that sort of an exquisite majority. I don't know how else you can refer to 100%. So from our standpoint, we're very favorably disposed to this possible change. I'm wondering, do you have any questions for us? It's like I'm talking to a wall here with intermittent overlapping sound, so I don't know if I'm getting through it all. So hard over this extreme distance to understand any idea of communication, quite frankly. But anyway, do you have anything to comment back to us? I could go on.
Well, thank you for your presentation.
All right.
And councilors, have you any questions of Terrence or Mary?
One thing I wanted to mention, if I might, you know, I don't know if you could see in such long distance.
Yeah.
But these were put up at about the same time in Trent Hills. Wonderful, stunning, beautiful signs I found. They have a vinyl coating on them, sort of a high intensity, which I think that would be the only change. You have, I think, what is called a graffiti coating on the present signs, and maybe for good reason. Anyway, they were put up about the same time, you know, and the contrast was extraordinary to us, and in fact, it was an inspiration to me to actually say, well, maybe we could do something. I don't say as well, but at least having the same sense of addressing actually the soul of the community, not just lettering and demeaning as Mary alluded to. So this is very grassroots. It's with the idea and the intent to be really of the community. I think as we go around Ontario, all these lovely individual signs are part of the charm, and this monochrome current presentation is maybe something that we could review. I think these are as attractive as things can be if you're looking to attract people, and hopefully maybe what you see in front of you, you can see it, are similarly so, you know. It's a community that values its pride of place, and it's very important to us, and we were quite offended actually by the erection of these present signs. I don't know whether people here from Westwood and they don't. I think their presence kind of supports that opinion. Is there anything back now? Sorry,
Councilor Walsh.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. thank you very much for coming forward and expressing your concern. That's greatly, greatly appreciated. We don't always get everything right, so love to hear from residents as to what they think we done wrong and what we can possibly do to fix it. So appreciate you coming forward. I guess a couple questions if I can. How important is the visuals of pictures on them versus the wording being correct? Because honestly, from here, I find it very hard to read Westwood and Norway. They don't jump out at me.
No, the intent is not to jump out and bang you. Of course, then as you're driving by, you will drive by from a distance. These are very small, of course, has to be said that way. This is the first rendering and I had planned to do something different. I don't know. I think that it's equal. What I would like to do in terms of focus is raise the lettering up just under the thing. I think we're dealing in attractiveness in the sense I think there's no problem if you're driving by, you're not driving by that huge distance over there. But as you come up, and it's much larger, of course, too, and you would be probably within, if you want to come yourself, you could see about as you were driving, 8 or 10 feet from it, if you could see it. And I think that you could see it very well.
Okay. So if I can, my second question would be, so I have an understanding on the visual piece. If it was reversed from what it is now, that Westwood became the more, I'll refer you to the Trent Hills, option that you shared. Where,
Yes, I know that was mentioned, the fiddling with the font thing.
yeah, making the village or the hamlet of Westwood more prominent and leaving the out, because we've gone through a whole exercise of branding our township, so
Yeah,
the
that's right.
Asphodel-Norwood township piece
Yeah, no, I
kind of
understand.
has to be there. But if it can be flipped, I'm just thinking that, is that a potential solution that
To me, it's not a potential. It has no potential. Lettering is lettering. It's just information. It doesn't tell you what the town is, I mean, it tells you in a sense where you are, I guess, in that sense, but it has no expressive. I mean, it's very hard unless it's very original print to say anything expressive through print. I mean, this is the nature of print. I mean, it's not original print, and what is supposedly there is really a font they took off the internet with the exception of the initial thing,
if I can just
Carry
one last comment on it.
Yeah.
So just changing font, changing Westwood to the top, Asphodel, come to the or the bottom, that's not what you want.
I wouldn't think so. I don't think that would fly. I mean,
I don't think so, or is that not what you want? I'm just
Well,
trying to
there's
get a
no
clear
absolute
understanding.
in any of this. You could put that there and whether people tolerate it or as now we go by and are annoyed that every time we go by. I don't know. It's a thing, it's lettering can say only so much. I think it says a hell of a lot more.
Councillor, Ward.
Thank you through you, Mayor. We did have this discussion because we had two previous residents send in letters. And at that time, in my opinion, the focus was that we made a mistake, to be quite honest, that it should have been reversed, that the town name or the village name should have been in bigger font. We've already gone through the exercise of the rebranding because the Trillium isn't like it was a public consultation. So it is now the other thing in a historical context. I can see these signs, but for the naming of the sign, it would, for me, it just, the font needs to be bigger for the name of Westwood. These are beautiful in a historical context, but I don't know if that's what, if that would work. Because for me, that was the argument in the first place, was that, we are already in Asphodel-Norwood Township and that the place name is Westwood, so the place name should have been bigger.
Well, that's the most
Right.
obvious.
That's the most obvious,
remark.
right?
It's the most
And
obvious.
I
but
understand,
I
like,
don't
this is
think
a
we do
second
it,
tier.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
People hate the signs, okay, to be clear, bigger or little or reversed or upside down, doesn't matter. They don't say anything. The logo is one thing which is
Yeah.
for us totally
Yeah.
meaningless. We have brought back the, I want to say something, sorry.
Yeah.
We brought back the emblem, which, by the way, I showed it to Doug Percy yesterday, your program mayor. He was delighted to see that. He was also delighted with the signs, by the way. Mary?
Yeah, one could achieve the aim of making the Westwood prominent. But you do have an opportunity to make the sign recognize identity, history, whatever, for not much, if any, additional cost or effort. And I guess my question is, why not? And the other is, if you want people to know that they're in Asphodel-Norwood, then tell them that they're in Asphodel-Norwood when they come to Asphodel-Norwood. I know there are rules about what you can do in terms of signs on Highway 7. And I know that if you want to put signs on a county road, you have to talk to the county. But bottom line is, there really, if you're on Highway 7, and a lot of traffic is on Highway 7, and a lot of it turns down County Road 38, I can tell you. Yeah. There's nothing that tells them that they're not in autonomy South Nottingham anymore.
I've noticed that too, coming down Highway 7. I have noticed that. Councillor Hodge-Greaves.
No, it's just that there's an opportunity here to recognize the difference in font size and highlight that it's Westwood that you're entering, and you're welcome into Westwood with more artistic, more historical recognition.
Right.
Thank
Councillor.
you, Mayor. I feel that we have a community group that is passionate, has spent months researching options. It's been brought to council. They brought it again in very good faith with a lot of effort. I feel that we should take the report, and I feel we should set up some form of engagement committee with Westwood to discuss in a different forum where we can have more informal engagement around what the signs could say, so that Terry is not forced into answering for the 67 people that have signed the petition. When I was campaigning, it was a clear sense of belonging. People in Westwood belong to Westwood as part of Asphodel-Norwood. And as Mary states, Westwood used to be, and not that long ago, in my living memory, Westwood was this head of the Asphodel government.
Right.
So I feel strongly that we should set up some form of ad hoc committee or standing committee. Unfortunately, don't know the correct terminology, to discuss this with the Westwood Enhancement Committee, to work forward towards a resolution that we can all be happy with, so that in another year or another council term, Westwood will still be upset and they will come again. So I feel that we should work together to come up with a solution.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But we're opening a can of worms here, because you're gonna have Norwood come now. We're all Asphodel-Norwood.
I'm giving you a sign.
I know what you're
It's a gift
saying.
to you people, don't you realize that it's a gift?
I think it's great,
Thank you.
but what I'm saying is, now you're gonna have the residents of Norwood wanting new signage. The township has just spent how much money on signage now? Don't get me wrong, I do not like the font size in Westwood or in Norwood. Maybe it should have been put out to the public a little more.
Okay, I'm not gonna say very much, but I would just state, to kind of hinge on what Councillor Hodge-Greaves is saying. I wouldn't necessarily state that we need an ad hoc or a council appointed committee, but township staff, there's enough of us, we can put together a small group to meet with the Westwood Enhancement Committee and put together some thoughts and bring it back to council with a staff report, with some recommendations, with some costing, with an approach. If council would so wishes. I don't know if we need to appoint through bylaw a specific committee. That would be more volunteers from the community we'd have to appoint. But you can appoint even a counselor to sit on that with the staff to meet with the Westwood Enhancement Committee to take it from there. That's my only thoughts on the committee, and that's all I'm
May I
prepared to
suggest,
say.
it was mentioned to me that we are to the town meeting about this, you know, I mean, I can see with all this sort of thing, and I had the feeling that this is already baked in before you arrived here, quite frankly, but in any case, yes, I think, I mean, if people here from Westwood, is it possible to open it up to any of these people now? I mean,
No.
That's all right. So maybe we can actually arrange a meeting, if informally or otherwise, at the library with the council or something. I mean, I can already, you haven't said anything, Lori, I don't know, but how you feel.
My
about
hand
it.
is, I'm waiting.
She's waiting, but you're talking.
Yeah.
Would you please, and anyway, that was mentioned to me that it might be nice, actually, it's really. You know, some people have written squeezed and there's no room for comments, but I think, I mean, if you look at their, I mean. It's overwhelming, okay? What do you want from us? I mean, to come here with our tongues hanging out, for goodness sake. It ranges from beautiful to gorgeous to whatever, all right? Okay, yes, Lori, please.
Who's running the meeting?
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Burt. This will be the last question on this discussion,
Okay.
and we will.
And not so much a question, but a comment. Thank you through you, Mayor. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot to be said. There's a lot more to be said and a lot more conversation to be had. I think that's point number one. And we appreciate everyone coming forward with their ideas. And I do have an idea that I'll just do briefly right now. What I would really like to see is both in Norwood and in Westwood, maybe a couple locations elsewhere in the township, is to have a historical board, which happens in many communities, that describes past industries and that sort of thing. And I would love to see something like that at some point in the park in Westwood, maybe the Lions Park, maybe the Mill Pond, and it describes the history. And it's a big plug for the Historical Society too, because it has information. So that's kind of my idea that I've had for a while, which brings the history of the different communities within the township. This is another topic completely, but I did have written down that we need to send this to staff with meeting, discussion to be had and a report to come back to council. We can't make a decision here. That's the process. And so I am willing to make a motion that we receive the delegation and that staff do their thing with the Westwood Enhancement Committee to bring a report back to council at a future meeting. I don't know that we need a timeline, but I think that's where we need to go from here. So that's my motion.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
Gladly second that.
Second by Councillor Walsh. Any more discussion on the motion?
In further to your point from earlier, Mayor, should we also acknowledge that we are aware about Norwood signs? Because otherwise, are we going to do this exercise twice?
I would think that you're gonna have to
Do it
discuss
twice.
both signs.
We're gonna do it twice.
So
And-
Yeah.
Westwood and Norwood are included in that discussion?
Mhm.
Yes, and just to further that, there's no budget money right now for new signs in the municipality of Asphodel-Norwood because they have spent this year. It would have to be in next year's proposed budget. So that gives you time to look at the different ideas and approaches that you could have. Councillor Ward.
Just one more comment. I just wanted to thank everyone for signing the petition because I know how people are about where they live. And I just wanted to make that comment that we don't take anything lightly, that everything is done with, I think, consideration and thought. And that's all my comment. Thank you.
There's no cost, by the way. There's no budget. There's no, we'll take it up, okay? Nothing, no problem.
All in favor?
All in favor of that motion? That motion's carried. Okay, we're gonna be moving on to staff committee reports. Kyle? You have the floor.
You live in Hay.
Somebody's book.
Yours, Kyle?
That was Sharon's.
Oh, okay. Sorry, not.
Go ahead, Kyle.
That might be a hard one. All right, good afternoon. Okay, through you, Mayor, let you introduce the report if you'd like.
This is R1, Schedule 22 of Section 11 Summary Report, Kyle Peacock. Our water wastewater operations manager. Please proceed with your presentation, sir.
Through you, Mayor. So this recommendation's been a long one, so bear with me here. So this is that the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood receives this report regarding the Schedule 22 annual summary reports for the Norwood drinking water system and the Front View State distribution system. And further, that the Council of the Asphodel-Norwood acknowledges and accepts Schedule 22 annual reports for 2022. And further, the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood receives this report regarding Section 11 annual reports for the Norwood drinking water system and the Trent View Estates distribution system. And further, that the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood acknowledges and accepts the Section 11 annual reports for 2023.
Do I have somebody to make that motion? Councillor Burt, or Deputy Mayor Burt. Seconded by Councillor Ward. Discussion. All in favor of the motion? That motion's carried. Kyle will move on to R2. The results of the tender 2023-01 sanitary sewer maintenance and inspection program.
Yeah, so we're looking for a recommendation here to award tender 2023-01 sanitary sewer maintenance and inspection program to Quinty Sewer Service. Little background on this one. So back when in 2017, we started observing some higher flows in the system. We had a sanitary main backup as well, and that caused us to put in place this program for CCTV work, flushing all the mains and inspecting them with video inspection. So anyways, we did over a 4-year period. Actually, we sped that one up a little bit. I think we got it all done in 3 just because of the flows that we were seeing. So going forward, this is kind of a 4-year inspection. We break the city or the town up into quadrants, and then we take a year off in between. So we go to tender for the 4-year period. This just allows us some comfortability, some consistency, allows us to budget better. So we know going forward that we have a fixed price for the next 4 years. Surprisingly, inflation didn't hit this one that much. All the prices were virtually the same, except for a $10 an hour raise in each the hourly for grouting joints and the lining of laterals and veins. So yeah, we'd like to make the recommendation to award it to Quinty Sewer. Deputy Mayor Burt.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept that and to move forward with the tender and with the comment.
Seconder,
And I would also.
Councillor Hodge Greaves, and discussion, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, given the rates we have seen,
I know.
especially the last 18 months, and to see it only go up $10 per hour for each of these systems. Even though this is a single submission, which we don't like to see as a township,
No.
but unfortunately, that was the tender result that we got. But seeing that it only went up that $10 per hour, that's incredible, and I'm jumping at that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was quite surprised as well, considering we only got one, but you don't lead them believe they're the only one.
Councillor Hodge Greaves.
Just further to there only being one, is that Do you know about the company? People just weren't interested?
I do, and I had reached out
But
to,
they weren't.
yeah,
Okay.
and I guess just weren't interested, I don't know.
Okay.
Kind of surprised me, actually, we had two the last time,
Oh, okay.
and this time just the one, so.
Okay.
Counselor Ward?
Thank you through you, Mayor. I thank you for including the map. It's very beneficial when you're looking at which lines are going to be done. And this, the second one, do you have a timeline when this is going to take place for the Cameron? Like the,
Yeah, within the tender itself, we put like a end of May date,
Okay.
because we want to capture it when the groundwater is higher.
When the flow's there.
Yeah, exactly. It's, if you're doing it in August, you're not really accomplishing what you're setting it to do, so we try to get it nailed down in the spring.
okay, thank you.
Any other discussions, councillors? All in favor of the motion? That motion is carried. Peter's pretty busy right now, so we'll have our CAO fill in for Peter and Lori. For. Conflict. Peter or Travis?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, to fill in for Peter DeSheen, our Manager of Public Works. He has report R3 in regards to a staff report that was directed by council to complete in the late last year, actually in December, for a potential speed reduction on River Road between Asphodel 6th line and Birdsall line, McGuire Road, Humphreys line, and Asphodel 5th line from River Road to the Trent River, and then Asphodel line from River Road to River Road. That little section when you come off River Road and turn right there. From 60 kilometers an hour to 40 kilometers an hour for consideration at the next council meeting. Once we were directed to prepare this report, staff went back to take a look at the process in which that would be done. We didn't include the bylaw in today's presentation because we feel if this is council's wishes that we would move forward with some consultation after today's meeting to advise the residents of the potential speed reduction, because once the bylaw is adopted, all the new speed is in place and enforceable. So this will allow an opportunity for the residents to adjust and potentially provide comment back and bring in an additional staff report with any additional feedback from the residents late March, early April, with the correlating bylaw. It's important to realize that any of the speed reduction will not change any of the class of roads. So all of the classifications of each segment of road will remain the same. And the financial implications is about $1,200 to $1,500 that'll be taken up in the operational budget that we have approved for signs. So it's really up to council. We've had many resident complaints in regards to the speed in this area. So essentially we have taken on McGuire Road just to try to create a consistent approach for enforcement down in that area. We hadn't had any concerns on McGuire, but we have included that in it as well. So it isn't just a leg off on its own.
No.
And I'll leave it with council for any questions.
Counselor Ward?
Yes, I was just wondering if there would be a consideration to include Sand Road with this recommendation for consistency. I feel that Sand Road is very similar to River Road. It's a road that has homes very close to the road as well. It's narrow. And I was wondering if there might be any consideration that we do the speed reduction at the same time on both of those. So that would be from the 3rd concession to the 7th Sand Road.
Just a comment on that, I would think that you'd want to have, talk to more of the residents there. Have we had any complaints on Sand Road about speed from the residents in the
No,
office?
no.
This other area
No.
has had the complaints, that's what I'm wondering, I would, if I was a resident on that road, and all of a sudden the township is saying, oh, we're gonna lower your speed limit there, but they've had no problem, I can understand what you're
Yeah.
saying.
We could put the black cat up there and determine if speed is an issue. We have speed black cat radar data on the other roads. We don't on sand.
Councillor Hodge-Greaves?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, Candace, I believe you just answered. So that was gonna be my next question, was there black cap for this one?
For River Road,
For
yes.
River Road?
Yes.
And then, yeah, so then, okay, that was my question.
Read your mind.
Yeah.
So can I have a motion, Counselor, that the Council of Township of Asphodel-Norwood accepts this report regarding the River Road speed reduction for information, and further that the Council of Township Asphodel-Norwood authorizes staff to draft a bylaw to reduce the speed to the River Road between the 6th line and the Birdsall line, McGuire Road, Humphreys line and Asphodel 5th line from River Road to the Trent River and 5th line. Line from River Road to River Road from 60 kilometers to 40 kilometers for consideration at the next council meeting, and further that the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood direct staff to release communication advising residents of the potential of the change. Can I have a mover of that
Do you
motion?
want to amend it?
Or amend?
I was wondering, sorry.
Councillor Walsh,
As is.
as is,
Yes.
seconder,
I would like to make an amendment. But I guess I can, just to. If, instead, my concern is just the language of releasing communication advising residents of this potential change. I wonder if we should change the language slightly so that it's more of a consultation as was previously used in reference to this, which is a slight difference from being advising people. Or are we already? I guess my thought is, I'm not sure, are we already changing the speed limit or are we still in consultation with people?
it's to change the speed
Yes,
limit,
it's
is
to
it
change
not?
the
Because
speed.
this is what the residents want.
This is
Mhm.
because we feel we have enough feedback at this moment.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, then I second, Councillor
Walsh's-
Walsh as stated.
Any more discussion on that? All in favor of that motion, councillors? That motion's carried. I just want to go back to Paula's comment, but I guess if you put that black cat out there.
I'll put the
that's
black
gonna-
hat up anyway. It's fine. We'll just do it through Police Services Board.
Okay,
Mhm.
you want to get the other? R4. Pride Crosswalk.
Just wait for Lori to
Wait
come
for
back.
Lori to come
Yeah.
back. Carrying on with R4 Pride Crosswalk, Candace, do you want to go ahead, please?
Yes, continuing to fill in for Peter. Township staff were approached by Peterborough County back in November of 2022 to introduce an initiative to install pride crosswalks throughout the county. At that time, council supported the initiative and directed staff to come back with additional information. So this is the staff report with additional information. I wouldn't necessarily say it's all a good news story. We were a little bit surprised in regards to the cost of it, but we also learned that we have to follow OTM Book 15. So with that, ladder crosswalks have specific criteria that has to be met under the Ontario Traffic Manual. They just can't be installed anywhere. There has to be specific criteria met. In the staff report, you will see a diagram of what a ladder crosswalk looks like. And what it needs to have in place is the pedestrians do not have the right of way at uncontrolled crossings. Therefore, only controlled crossings should be used for a crosswalk. This includes traffic control signals, intersection pedestrian signals, pedestrian crossover, stop signs, yield signs, and school crossings, including a crossing guard. So we introduced originally, before we knew that it had to follow Book 15, the intersection at Spring and County Road 45. Unfortunately, also under the Ontario Traffic Manual, it's too close to a signaled light intersection at Spring Street. It's too close to the lights at Highway 7, so you also can't have it there. So Peterborough County staff has proposed the, you can see it in your staff report there, Victoria Street across Victoria Street, basically running in alignment with Alma Street there, as it meets the criteria and is in close proximity to the downtown core. So if council is to support this initiative and in support the financial costs that comes with it, that is one proposed location that does meet all of the criteria under Book 15. Peterborough County has advised that the cost is $10,000 to $12,000. It was not included in the 2023 budget, as we were unaware of that number when the budget was adopted. If council wishes to move forward in 2023, we would have to either offset it with another operational item or pull it from the Public Works Capital Construction Reserve. I wouldn't consider this capital in nature, and traditionally we only pull from reserve for capital. Traditionally, all line painting, et cetera, is covered under our operational budget. The township's portion of the work would obviously then run between 5,000 to 6,000, as it would be 50% of the cost. Peterborough County has advised that they would not participate when these lines needed to be repainted, and nothing in life lasts forever. So they're stating 3 to 5 years to have those lines repainted. The paint is supposed to last that long. We don't have any paint that lasts that long, so I'm assuming that this paint must be, I don't know, special paint or something, because ours, we do it every year, so I'm not really sure. I have asked that question as to exactly why does this paint last 3 to 5 years? So based on whatever council decides today, we have a couple of scenarios put forward to you. If we move forward today, we would pull it from reserve, reach out to consultation with Norwood Pride in regards to finalize the location of it. So that is just one proposed location. I'm sure there's other locations within the village that would meet Book 15. It'll get easier to meet as you get a little bit further away from the downtown core, actually. Or we can postpone until 2024, get a few more details and include it in the 2024 operational budget. Peterborough County did reach out to all lower tier municipalities back last year. And at the time in November, when council supported the initiative, we were unaware what all of our neighbors were doing. Since that time, we have learned that Selwyn, Duro-Dummer, and Asphodel-Norwood were the only 3 municipalities to support the initiative in principle. So I'm not sure if, I have also asked the question if that's impacting the cost, as why it's coming in higher than we had all thought, is because not all 8 lower tiers are participating. So is that elevating the cost with only 3? I haven't got an answer to that question. And I would leave it for council for discussion or any questions.
Deputy Mayor Byrd?
Yeah, thank you, through you, Mayor. So I'm just looking at the conclusion page. You have two options, and the second is to defer the work. I'm certainly not comfortable with pulling out of reserves for something like this. This is not a capital project, but I think I'd almost like to add a third option based on this. Certainly to defer the work, but we have a Norwood Pride committee, very active in our community. What do they want? I would rather see us put money into programs or something. I think I'm not against seeing the crosswalks. I'm not against the crosswalks. I just think our money would be much better spent in the community doing something that is needed. And I think, you know, we could almost maybe reword that second option to defer the work and to reach out to our Norwood Pride community to look at options.
You want to make
And
that
so,
motion?
I'll let discussion
More
happen, and then I
discussion?
will be willing to make a motion at the time.
It was up.
When I received the agenda, I did reach out to Norwood Pride, and yes, they would like to be engaged in a two-way discussion of what happens. And I feel that's, you know, we initially passed it in November. It was my first council meeting. And at that point, I now realize is when we should have said, yes, in principle, let's send it to consultation with Norwood Pride. That now I realize is where we missed the stepping stone for true engagement with Pride. And yeah, their concerns are around maintenance, because I think it's worse to have a shabby looking Pride crosswalk. So if we commit to $12,000 or $5,000 and the county has already said no, then in the future then you're not showing pride, you're showing disdain at that point. And the location, the executive committee of Norwood Pride didn't feel the location was a statement location. It's sort of off the beaten path. And they were asking about why it's going to 2024, but that they would understand that's for budgets. And yes, I agree with Lori. If we are willing to spend $5,000 on a Pride crosswalk for the purpose of inclusion, then we should be including the Pride community and perhaps something with cheaper paint, like rainbow town hall stairs or rainbow sidewalk that could be painted for less than that much money. That's me. That is not the.
Or it could be the crosswalk even from here to the parking lot coming into this building.
Yeah.
It's gonna stand up. You have all kinds of residents
So
that come in.
I would agree that we need to
Have discussion.
have further engagement. There's no, I don't feel there's a rush because we couldn't paint anything tomorrow anyway. Who knows when winter will end? Perhaps never. So yes, I would like to put this into some kind of a motion but I will wait for Councillor Walsh.
I'm basically through you, just gonna kind of echo what Deputy Mayor Burton said and what Councillor Hodgson said. Yeah, I don't think there's a rush. It is more operational than capital, so I hate to see it coming out of capital budget this year. Let's have that consultation process. If the group is willing to spend, maybe there's a better way to spend $5,000 with that group. And I'm concerned about a sidewalk, to your point. You put it down once, now we're gonna maintain it forever.
Yeah,
And maybe there's a better solution than investing in a sidewalk. So I'm.
right.
concur with
Can I
what
make a
you said.
comment?
Pardon me?
Can I make a comment? please?
Yes, go ahead.
So just circling back, fully agree with the engagement with Norwood Pride. Just, are we now, like, I don't want to go to that group and initiate conversation if we are not going to earmark money in 2020. Are we looking then that we're going to earmark money outside of the budget that we don't have in 2023 for an initiative with them in 2023, regardless of what it is? Or are we looking at, we're going to use 2023 as a consultation year? We start budget talks in September. So it's not really, unfortunately, I wish it was further away, but it's not. So September will be here before we know it. We consult in 2023, come up with a plan, present it in September for inclusion in the 2024 operational adoption. And then we're coming forward with the ask of money that correlates with the initiative that they support, inclusion in a 2024 budget.
When I first made my comment, that was what I had assumed, that it would have to go into the 2024 budget. 2023 is set. So that was kind of my thought process there, yes.
So we need a motion for that.
Okay, that the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood accepts this report regarding a Pride crosswalk for information, and further that the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood directs staff to engage with Norwood Pride for an initiative to be presented in the 2024 budget negotiations.
And the mover was Deputy Mayor Burt, seconder was Councillor Hodge Greaves. Any more discussion on that?
Just one other question, if I can, through your mayor. So we deferred to 2024 and it's decided that it's not going to be a crosswalk. So the county would be out at that point, correct?
We're going to tell them that we've deferred all discussions to 2024, so they'll have to move forward with the 2 municipalities that they have in 2023, and we'll loop back around to them if we do decide it's a crosswalk. I'm sure they'll have paint in the county somewhere for us to use, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the
You're
cost
welcome.
is unbelievable. I can't. Anyway, all in favor of the motion that's presented. All in favor, carried. R5 Annual Building Department Financial Report. Candace.
Thank you, Mayor. So continuing on with the theme of last meeting, annual housekeeping reports. Another one that comes forward to council annually is the annual budget building department financial report under the Ontario Building Code Act. Under section 7-4, we have to present financials on that department. So included in your agenda package, you will see the cost of delivering the service of the building department was $155,034.30. Total fees collected was $113,284.01, with a total deficit of $41,750.29. For the first year in 9 years, we've been building a reserve for 9 years, and the reserve or savings account. Reserve has $721,000 sitting in it. We need to pull $41,000. So the good news is the building department continues to have a net impact of 0 on the tax base. It is 100% self-funded. So the current balance prior to any impact, obviously, of 2023, the balance of the reserve will be just under $680,000 with the 2022 transfer. We knew this year was coming. We knew it was going to be a lull year based on the building permits that were coming out, and it really all depends on where phase 4 and Mill Street lands in 2023 as to when the building permits are pulled. 2023 may look similar. I suspect we're going to see building permits for phase 4 pulled in December, which would then all that revenue hits in obviously 2023, even though the inspections don't happen until 2024. That is our anticipation. But again, we're not in fully control of that process, as the developer still has some check marks to put in some boxes. So we could see the same thing for 23. And then once it kickstarts, you're going to see another 3 to 5 years of building again, building that reserve back up. But there's enough money here to fund that department for 10 years on its own anyway. So thank you.
Can I have a motion that council, the township of Asphodel-Norwood receive this report regarding the 2022 annual building department financial report? Councilor, moved by Councilor Walsh, seconder. Councilor Hodge-Creeves, discussion. Looks good. All in favor of that motion? That motion's carried. Fitness center and studio operations. Candace?
Thank you, Mayor. So step 2 of the fitness center and studio room operations, obviously there is lots of chatter after we had the ribbon cutting and the guided tours. Just to circle back to give an explanation for those who are watching this recording, maybe after. Couple reasons why that approach was taken. One being, I wanted to capitalize on the fact that we had a gathering at this facility with members of the community coming and celebrating Family Day here. So we were going to have hundreds of people here who were going to be walking by that room with a locked door and wondering what was behind it. So we wanted to capitalize on that opportunity. Unfortunately, as of Family Day, occupancy had not been granted of that space. Task Force, the contractor for that space, even as we say here today, still has care and control. That is their site. They haven't relinquished it to the township. There is still some deficiencies. So in order for us to go in there and start taking hundreds of people through, there needed to be some kind of formal process or guided tour established around it prior to us taking over full occupancy. We are this close to having it. As you can see in the staff report, we are getting ready for the grand opening. We are waiting for the video cameras to be installed and some other finishing touches before Task Force does the final sign off and hands us our facility essentially. 101 individuals took participated in the guided tours. 98% of the feedback was positive, with some comments and rooms for improvement based on some members of the community that we have taken under consideration. Memberships, we're aiming for the following timeline. Thursday, March 16th, the doors will open for people to actually utilize the space. Memberships can be purchased as of Monday, March 13th, 2023. So they can start as of that Monday. We have a list of people started at the office that we'll be able to reach out to say, yes, you can get your membership now. This is the process. The cameras are to be installed on March 14th and 15th. The cameras in the current community center needed to be upgraded in order for them to work with the new ones that were being installed in the fitness center. Good old analog to the digital. So we've had to upgrade those cameras as well. So everything will be a new system, which is great. Membership registration can be completed online. So in the agenda package, you will see, I wanted council to actually see what it looks like. So this is what it would look like if you pop it up on the website and follow the link. So this is the information that you're going to be asked. all the way through with, you can pick what membership you want, what rate you want to pay, whether you're family, adult, senior, student, youth, etc. And then unfortunately, with all good things come rules. So there's rules. So the Get Active questionnaire is a legal requirement for us to ask as an entity that owns a fitness center. So essentially, we're transferring the liability of personal fitness and health onto the individual who's applying for the membership. So they need to fill out the Get Active questionnaire and acknowledge that they've reviewed it and that they're healthy enough to participate in the fitness center prior to us relinquishing their membership. So we've included all of those questionnaires in the agenda package. If you have any specific questions on anything that we're asking, I will do my best to answer them. The fire department has completed the, I guess, analysis of the capacities for the site. So studio with no equipment. So if we don't have spin bikes or anything in there, if you're just yoga mats or just freestanding, 36. Studio with equipment. So if we have spin bikes in there, 11. Fitness center is 23. So that's the fire code for capacities. We are also, as council is aware, we're going into an online booking software for facilities. Once that is up and running with online payments, then you'll be able to get your membership and pay online. But for now, you can register online, but you still have to pay in person. We're going to do open 24 hours per day for a 3-month trial. It's a 3-month trial, so I sleep better. So we need to just see how it's going to go. There's lots of chatter and requests for us to be open late at night. Obviously, we have no staff in the facility at that time of night. So, for our liability purposes, we had to ensure that we had a phone that only dialed out to 911 in the space that's accessible at all times for all users in case a cell phone doesn't work, cell phone's dead, whatever it may be, at least someone can access 911 if needed. The space is cameraed. When they sign up for a membership, that is clearly in there. They have to acknowledge that they're aware that the space is cameraed. We do have a video camera bylaw and policy, so only certain times in certain circumstances would that video footage be accessed. And there's a log as to who's accessing it, why you're accessing it, and then obviously the information is flushed. So we're gonna be signed and people will be well aware that that's happening. Obviously, there's no video cameras or anything in any dressing rooms, change rooms, washrooms. It's just literally in the studio fitness space. After a 3-month trial, we'll assess it and see if we're going to continue on until a problem does occur, or whether we're going to have to reconfigure the opening hours based on anything that's happened during that trial. The software to allow live viewing under the Live Barn software is up and running. It is current, it is up. The cost is $19 per month. It isn't payable to us, it's payable to Live Barn. That is their business. That will allow you to watch anything that's happening on any arena ice surface in North America that is accessible through Live Barn. So you can log on and you can scroll down and pick something in Nevada or any BC, whatever you want to see. If you have grandchildren or friends or family anywhere, you'll be able to click on and watch. Obviously, the key purpose of this, one of the big things that the parents told us in the survey is they wanted to be able to work out while their children were on the ice, on hockey practice or figure skating practice. They'll be able to do that. So while they'll be able to be on the treadmill, the elliptical, whatever, and watch the TV screen and see their child out on the ice surface and what is happening there, as well as any family members from home can sit at home. Grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, siblings can watch what's going on from their living room if they can't attend. There is some security features that are built into this because we need to talk to the user groups. So if a user group decides based on their membership that they do not want that feature to be activated, then we can put it into privacy mode. And then the only way those cameras can be viewed is through passcode. So we are able to do a privacy setting based on the user group. Blinds have been ordered. They're very similar to what we have here now in the Millennium Room for aesthetics from the outside of the building. Everything looks relatively the same. These have been successful, easy to clean, etc. So they should be up mid-March, right in alignment with the grand opening. And the rental agreement will be very similar to the town hall and the Millennium Room for the studio space for liability insurance, the 5 million liability requirements as our insurance company requires. And once we're up and running, based on all of that, we'll bring a staff report back in, probably the last meeting in April. We'll be up and running at that point, 5 weeks, to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of how things are going. And to see if we need to make any tweaks. I do draw your attention to the frequently asked questions of fitness center rules and regulations. That's going to be something we're really pushing people to. It really just tells you all the ins and outs of what it's like, no food, please wear proper fitness. If you want, you need to bring your own lock for the lockers. If someone brings in a lock and leaves it there for months, we're going to cut it off. Please bring your own towels, etc., etc., etc. As you know, $50,000 was put into the budget for the fitness center and studio space. I have since broken that out. And you'll see that probably in the third quarter when you see the quarter variance for the second quarter to see how we're doing. Based on the interest, I don't think we're going to have any problem hitting that budget number, but stay tuned. And I'll take any questions.
Councilor Wall? Yes, through you, Mayor. And it's based on feedback you've received from the public, are there any other sort of options that people are looking for that we kind of haven't priced or looked at that? I'm sure we're going to get different permutations, combinations of what people want to potentially do in there, but have we seen anything sort of come that we haven't really priced at this point?
There is some requests, so I think there's 4 off the top of my head. So one being, we were asked if we could get higher weighted, one individual asked for dumbbells up to like free weight dumbbells up to 90 pounds. Ours only go to 60 pounds. Up to 60 pounds in our surveys we put up, that's going to hit the majority. We don't have any room on the free weight dumbbell stand to add up to 90s. So I think that's one of those things where we're going to have to just monitor and wait and see if we start to get like more and more requests that, we need to go above 60 pounds. Good for you if you can do that. But if you need more than 60 pounds and we're tracking it, then maybe we can get like a smaller little shelf with some higher weights on it. But I think we just need to sit and wait for a minute on that one. 2 is there was a request for the studio space to be open. If it's not rented, to be available to users of the fitness center for stretching moves or light fitness activity. So again, you'll see in the staff report, I have agreed to open that up if council's okay with that. For a trial basis, no equipment to move from the fitness center into that. The floor can't withstand any sort of dumbbell, or my bigger concern was the medicine balls, them, and that floor just won't take it. So no equipment allowed in that space, but if you want to go in there and stretch and move, there's not a lot of space in the fitness center for that. I do know that, but obviously if it's rented, the rental comes first. So we're going to try that in a trial basis and hopefully that goes well. The other thing was for a rowing machine. We had one request for a rower. We have a static rower, I believe they call it, where it's stationary, where you can row, but the seat doesn't move. So that was another request. My response to that was, as equipment becomes antiquated and we have to change equipment out, we need to see what's used. So maybe we don't need as many ellipticals or we don't need as many treadmills based on actual use. Right now, we're going off of all of public survey. The 350 people that completed the survey that told us this is the primary use of what we want. So we went with the majority, which isn't going to hit the exact thing that everybody needs in that space. So I think we'll just have to play that by ear, and if we need to change out some equipment in the future based on need, then that's what we do. And the fourth and final request, I don't even know what's I'm gonna butcher this terminology because I don't even know what it's called. Like strongman competitions where you take like the big ones and you lift above your head and you drop it. The big barbells above your head and then you drop, I don't know what that's called. Powerlifting maybe? I don't know. Wondering if we were going to offer that amenity in this service, and I just said no and not likely anytime in the future. So that's got to go to a different facility to that. So,
Wouldn't take it.
so again, we've got some strong people in our municipality apparently that we didn't plan for. So I just said, well, unfortunately, we offer a service, but that just won't be one of them. So
We can sure find a farmer somewhere.
Could use them.
yeah, exactly.
Right, we're supposed to have an open bar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, moving along with that then, pardon me,
I just have a quick question, if I may, through you, Mayor.
I got you to make the motion.
Oh, I can make a motion and then do the question if you.
Okay,
I will make the motion.
You'll make
to
the
accept
motion then?
report,
okay,
and with the question.
all right, seconder. Paula, Counselor Ward, go ahead.
You had mentioned about the online payments coming. In the meantime, they can do physical payments. Will they do the physical payments here at the office, or will it be available to do in both places? Just curious. If somebody
We're
asks.
trying to get another card machine for the municipal office. So
Okay.
when we register someone and they pay, so it's card access, right? Those little white
Yep.
cards. So we have to activate those cards.
Okay.
We only have one activation machine. So right now we have more staff at the community center, more hours of the day.
Yep.
So right now, when we probably first launch, it'll be here, but the goal for renewals, and stuff people don't want to pay online, we want a second machine at the municipal office.
Okay.
So eventually it's going to be both, but probably out of the gate, it's gonna be here at the community center. And with that software, we'll be able to track like usage. So when they swipe those cards, we'll be able to pull reports off this software, 3 months down the road and say 60% of the users are coming in from 4 to 8 PM at night and 10% are coming in from 8 to midnight. That'll be, I think, really good data for us to use to determine if the liability and the cost is matching up with the hours that we're open and available. So there's some good data that report is going to be able to give us. Plus, it's also, if there's anything that happens in that facility,
You can tell.
we know who was in there. So
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Any more discussion? All in favor of that motion, Counselor? Our motion's carried. Management action list. And final R7, report the manage action list, Candace.
Okay, so as council can see, all of the staff reports on February 14th were completed. I just missed the little X's there, so sorry about that. And then February 28th, you see all the reports that are from the subdivision agreement for 22 Birch has been moved to March 14th. There's two outstanding items for that. We need the parkland in lieu amount and we need the construction estimated costs. So once they come, the agreement is completed other than those two outstanding items. So that shouldn't be an issue for council at all. The Business Advisory Committee is going to be, so it's closed as of today. I think we have 6 applicants. So we'll be able to take a look at appointing through bylaw that committee on the 14th of March. So we need to determine also the counselors that are going to sit on that committee. Mandatory pre-consultation bylaw, thank you to Bill 23. The Trentview Estates agreement with Trent Hills, they entered into a 5-year arrangement. I got the agreement signed off from Trent Hills with us, back to us, so we'll be able to bring that forward. The standpipe tender results, that tender has closed. I know the results and we'll be passing that on to council on the 14th of March. We're working with it. DWQMS, Drinking Water Quality Management Standard, will be coming forward. recruitment results. We should hopefully have those by March 14th. Interviews are set. We had 17 applications, so that was good. RFQ results for the portable toilets and summer student recruitment results. Only 3 summer students have applied so far. And you see what's coming up on the 28th of March. For the new counselors and the existing counselors. So with the DWQMS and with just getting the 11 and 22 reports for water. I'm wondering if we need a, do you guys find that you need a training session on water? Excuse me. Because I know you just went to standard of care training, and I know that tends to elevate what, you know, levels of concern and whatnot. So I'm just wondering if you guys would like to have that.
Yeah, through the mayor. I think that would be a good idea, and as well, especially for the new council, is to have a tour of the water and wastewater plant.
Well,
And I
that's
know
coming in the
that's
spring.
Been, yeah, I know
Yeah.
that's been talked about, but I think we all know the liability and our ownership with water. Right? I think any additional information is important, and for those of us who've been around this table for a few years, a reminder is good.
Hey, my suggestion would be after the next round of reports come. So then you've been presented with your annual reports. This is what you see. And then we can take those and we can break it down. We'll book a date. And if that's okay, we'll do it as a full session with everyone and get you guys, okay? And then we'll book the road tour that includes the water wastewater plants. We always like to do it when it's a little kinder out, like, so, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you want to go tromping through the parks or not, but maybe May. I don't know. We can take a look at it, but that's it for now. This council has any?
I'm looking for a motion to accept this report with the revisions suggested by the CAO. Moved by Councillor Walsh, second by Deputy Mayor Burt. Any more discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Any correspondence show up since? No?
No.
Council liaison reports. Does anyone have anything they'd like to bring forward? Paula,
Yes, I
or
just have.
Councillor War, sorry.
No, thank you through you, Mayor. I just have a couple of events for the Cultural and Heritage Committee that have been decided. So on April 4th, we are having our first historical talk, and it will be at the Norwood Town Hall. Doors will open at 6, starts at 6:30. The topic is tartan and tales, because it's International Tartan Day on the 6th, so we're celebrating it on the 4th. We have 3 different speakers. We're also doing a show and tell if anyone has a family tartan or any tales they would like to tell as well. So that's on the 4th. And then the next one, we are doing a coronation tea on May 6th at the Norwood Town Hall. And we are doing it in partnership with Community Care, and more details to come. But if you could put it on your calendar, greatly appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
You're left.
Thank you through you, Mayor. Just wanted to add, in addition to my written report, both Stephanie and I would have gotten an email that both the Havelock and Asphodel-Norwood Public Libraries will be the recipients of the Tim Hortons Smile Cookie campaign this year. So that's May 1st to 7th. So have your appetites and book your cookie orders in. They may not be looking too pretty, but anyway, that was exciting.
It is exciting.
That,
It is exciting.
I'm not sure how they
We should do it in the winter.
determine, you know, who they choose, but it's very
You
nice.
put your names forward.
Yeah,
Oh, you do? Oh,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So anyway, it's good news story for our libraries.
good. CAO clerk treasurer's list.
Yes, so just a couple of quick things. Snow removal on County Road 45 is scheduled to take place tomorrow. So we'll be closing down the street just in front of the businesses there. It'll either be happening first thing in the morning, depends on when the guys actually get out of their trucks today, whether it'll be first thing in the morning or whether they'll do it tomorrow night. But it will be tomorrow. We can't clear Highway 7 because MTO doesn't have the resources to assist tomorrow. They're obviously busy. So they're going to advise us when they have the resources to be able to give us the lead truck and the 2 flaggers that are now required to remove the snow on Highway 7, hopefully before the weekend. But stay tuned. The social media posts in regards to the plow updates seems to be well received and working. So hopefully that'll make your conversations a little bit easier. Outside of that, I'm not sure what else we can do as far as communication in a real time sense, but we're trying to at least get, you know, some things out there to assist the public with what's happening. And this year we've just been hit, seems to be, with these larger dumps of snow versus, you know, we haven't seen many 1 to 3, 3 to 5s. It seems to be nothing, or 10 to 15, 20 to 30. So, and we're supposed to get another 10 to 15 on Friday. So yeah, just keep me posted if that's kind of accomplishing what you wanted us to accomplish, because, you know, we are in Canada, it snows, you know, so we have to have some, I think, patience, but please keep me advised if you'd like anything further.
Counselor.
Yes, this morning when I was wondering if I could get here, my husband kept telling me, oh, our plow truck's a bit late. And I saw it, so it all worked out. But yes, I think that was actually quite helpful.
Was it the
So,
blade or the truck?
one
Was the blade, we borrowed a blade we got a blade on the truck, and it was back out and deployed. The truck's fine, just the plow itself.
So thank you to whoever updates them. I think that is actually excellent. I think it's really helpful.
Is there any other general business to discuss?
I don't have anything.
Did you have more? No?
No, I'm done. I'm good. Thank you.
I just have one thing, and this question is for you, Candace. The electoral boundary changes that were in the paper a few weeks ago. Have you heard any more of that? Do you know when those changes are taking place? Is it before the next election? Is it at the next election? Have you heard any more about it?
Not much. And unfortunately, there was no consultation with the municipal government level prior to them just releasing. But again, they've just released a recommendation. So that body does a 10-year review of the federal boundaries. So the 10 years was up. And obviously they've reached out, I suspect, to their MPs in all of the districts as to what they would like to see. The mayor and I have a meeting request in from MPP Piccini for March 24th. So when that's on the agenda to talk to him about, to find out if the federal government moves forward and Peterborough South is no longer, and we flip back into Peterborough County. So provincially, are they gonna follow suit? I suspect they're not gonna want different federal and provincial boundaries. I suspect. That's why we got flipped federally and provincially the last time. High level, my concern is that being flipped around is, you know, back and forth is never in anyone's best interest when it comes to relationship building. So the mayor and I have to establish relationships with the MPPs, the MPs, other municipalities in those ridings. We just get established. We've just built relationships with MP Lawrence, MPP Piccini, regardless of which political party they represent. Our job remains the same. We still have to build a relationship with them in order to ensure that they know that Asphodel-Norwood exists and what our needs are. So now we have to flip, if potentially, and now we have to rebuild all of these relationships again until the next time they decide. And we're always going to be a bordering municipality. And that's the concern, is we're always on that border. So we just seem to be, whenever the population, it goes by numbers, is riding heavy one way. Oh, well, you're on the border. You flip up, you flip back. So we're going to have some tough questions for them to find out. And I want to know if MP Lawrence is supporting this.
Yeah, no, when I saw that in the paper, I was concerned because we do have good relationships. Doesn't matter what the party is.
Yeah.
Right now, we have good relationships and yeah, it's that moving back and forth. So I just didn't know if that was, when I saw the recommendation, if it was set in stone, if it wasn't.
It's not yet.
Where it's going. So, well, I'll look forward to the update after your meeting to see where that.
Personally,
Lands.
myself, when you have an MPP that's also a minister,
Mhm. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
for sure.
that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's just my own comment. Closed session?
Yes.
So
You do.
I'll invite council members present, closed session. Okay, council will now move into closed session, so I'll speak to. I'll ask the deputy clerk and other members in the audience. to Back up, please, so council may discuss. I like how these words.
Goodbye.
I got. And thank you for coming today, actually.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. Another small- Okay, we have no notice of motion for this meeting. Move into confirming bylaw. Candace, would you care to read that?
Being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of the council of the township of Asphodel-Norwood held February 28th, 2023, be read a first, second, and third time and numbered bylaw 2023-13.
And we have a mover for that motion, Councillor Ward, seconder, Councillor Wall. Any discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Motion for adjournment. Councillor Greaves on, Deputy Mayor Burt, all in favor? Motion carried.